Guys, it's me, Mackie, and today we're going to go over one of the premium add-on packages, and that is the Racing Kit. The Racing Kit is a package I put together to give you a jump start on really any kind of vehicle driving simulation that you want to make, but in this case we're going to be using it to create a game that I'm calling Burnout. And our Burnout game is going to be all about painting rubber on the ground, whether you're doing donuts, peeling out, skidding, braking, whatever paints rubber on the ground, you get collective points for that. And if you happen to be painting that doing a donut, you get an extra bonus point category called donut points. So we're going to just go into my masters here. I'm going to bring out the default car. So it's a prefab. We can just drag our prefab into the scene. Our prefab is already configured with all of the various items that you would have to make in a Unity project to have a car with a wheel collider. So we have our basic object here. We have our front wheel collider. And the wheel collider has our actual wheel collider information with our wheel collider component with all the information we need about the radius of the wheels. We have one for the front left, front right, rear left, rear right. We have collision volumes. Now you could use either this right here, which is a convex hull mesh, or you can get a little bit simpler and use just boxes, or even to make sure you kind of form the shape of the car, you can use, in our case, 3 boxes together, so there'll be a compound collision when it's actually ran in Babylon. And that is our vehicle, and we have all the components on our vehicle, that all of the code that we're not writing now, but I have written already, and that is for the camera manager, the input controller, the actual car, which is a super uber controller that has all kind of information on there. This is the guy that you'll be rigging the most to get the fine-tune the characteristics of the car, how it's going to drive, what features it has on the car. Like we have burnouts enabled, we have chassis tilting enabled to give you that lateral movement when you're doing the car. We have road detection, so it kind of detect the surface and vibrate the various shocks on the wheels to give you the movement in the car when you're driving. So let's just take a look at this here. I'm going to unpack this so I don't accidentally mess up my prefab, and let's just call this something else like racing car, and we will build that. So now, when you're creating your game, you won't have much to do about the racing system. All you're going to have to concentrate on is the game mechanics or the game rules for your game itself. As we see here, there's nothing happening because I didn't enable it, but there's our car. It looks beautiful. We're going to go back, and on these components, like the input component, we have to enable the input for player 1. And on the camera component, I'm going to enable the camera and attach it to the vehicle. Now, we're not going to follow behind the target. We're just going to track the target so we can kind of just see it driving. And we'll hit the build button again and rebuild that. And get another fresh start. You can see there's tons of other components in here that handle all of the various features that you're going to want to implement when you're creating a racing or any type of driving game. So now you can probably hear the engine is revving in the background. I'm going to just click forward, and he's going to peel out. He did burning rubber, so down here we're collecting those burnout points. Let's send it. So every time I paint, I'm collecting that. Let's come back a little closer. See if we can get some donuts going here. Now we're burning rubber, and we're collecting donut points at the same time. And you can see that lateral movement in the car. So you get all of that kind of Need for Speed style driving with the toolkit, and that's because I have it tuned out that way, and that's what all of these various options doing, how the gearbox is running, how many gears are running, or how many gears that we have in our gearbox and the various shifting ratios. All of the handling, burnouts we have enabled, where our braking is, how we're hitting the handbrake force to lock the back wheels when we're skidding around. Basically, this one component here gives you your entire mechanics for driving. So the car itself that has all the components on there is really self-contained. So anywhere you drop this car, it's going to drive on a physics world. Now, right now, we're just driving on this flat plane surface right here, but you're going to want to have your world modeled. I'm a developer, I'm not a designer, so I'm going to be using some dev art tools to help us out there. One of them is Fantastic City Generator. When you would use something like that, you can actually, let's back this up, you can generate a whole city for us to race on. So I'm going to click small here, and that creates a city. So there's an outline of the streets, and you can change them, keep going to whatever style it is that you are looking for. That's fine there. And then we'll reduce the amount of downtown size area, and we will say generate buildings, and that right there creates our city. Now, this particular city has thousands of nodes in there, from all of the buildings and stuff, all of the roads, all of the colliders and everything like that. It's way too big to go into Babylon, so you would have to bake things down. I have some geometry tools that I have created so that you can bake static meshes. You can basically hold a whole group of meshes and bake them all down into one. This particular city, we're just going to delete this because I actually have some cities already baked. So if I were to look at city 2, and here's a prefab of city 2, there's the original one that has all the thousands and then a baked version of the map. So we'll just drag in the baked city. And now our baked city now consists of just 2 meshes, just that mesh in the middle and that mesh on the outside. And all of these here are our baked colliders. There's no actual geometry on any of these nodes. These nodes just outline the collision. So those thousands of meshes that we've seen in there is all of this right here that makes up your colliders. But we're going to enable that now. So now we have a city to drive on, and there's only 2 meshes for it. And let's see where our car is. It's right in the middle. So let's just build that and run that as is. So all we really did is just bring a city in that we created from a tool. And now that tool has created all of our collisions for us, all of our grounds and everything like that. So all we really had to do is kind of drag a prefab of a city into it, just like we drag the car into it. And we basically have the beginnings of our racing game. So let's give this a chance to catch up here. Almost done. Now we'll hit the preview button. And now we have our city behind our scenes. And as you see here, I'm still rocking almost 60 frames a second. Right at the edge, because it's at 60 milliseconds. So I'm right at the edge of 60 frames a second with all of those thousands of nodes. Let's see how many thousands of nodes these are. Hit information. Where is our 3,450 meshes in total? Tons with all of the colliders and everything that are in there. So. But we still get good speed on there. Now we can drive in the city. We have a whole city. We can still get our Need for Speed style driving. So like maybe we even mark this intersection for a burnout zone or something like that, if that's what we were trying to do. Now, let's try and actually follow behind it. So we're going to grab the car. This time we're going to hit follow camera, and we're going to rebuild the scene. And now we should be able to have a smooth following camera that gives you, again, that Need for Speed or Fast and Furious style racing and the camera behind it, which is what I'm going for in Burnout. So now, as you can see, those were thousands of nodes that we had to build up in there. Again, there's only 2 meshes that actually make up the building. All the other ones are invisible meshes, but they are meshes none the same. So it does take a toll. The Havoc system is much better, but we're not quite ready for driving out of Havoc yet. So here we are now in our new scene. As you can see, the car is vibrating a little bit because it's got some idle shake component set on there. We can just back up a little bit and we'll hit this button over here. As you can see, I'm kind of moving down the road. It's got some movement in the car as the shocks are absorbing the surface. We could get some skidding around that corner. And you get better at the driving the more you do it. Let me hit some NOS button and get my speed up. I'm almost 200 miles an hour right now, so we're going really fast. We're going to time it. A little too far out. We'll try it again. It's all about the timing, the braking. Let's see, how about that one? Oh, that was a good one. Now we'll build our speed up. Try and hit that at 180 miles an hour and see how we can slide around that corner. Now, that was a good one. So you got to kind of anticipate where, how fast you're going, how far you are from there, how much you're going to skid, and it's all about the feel. You kind of get used to it as you play it. As you can see here, we are just jamming along. Let's see if I can get another good one. I hit the curb that almost flipped me over. Let's try and go in the middle. Now we'll go in there. Now let's try a 180. See if I can get a 180 at the end of this little middle section here. So we'll go see if I can get it. It's all about the timing. So we'll skid. Hold our skid. Slow down a little bit. If you do it right, you can kind of skid right around, catch it right before you stop, but not going too fast so that you can still keep moving. See if I can do it this one. Still stopped a little bit. But yeah, it takes practice. That way, let's see about this one. We're going to go to the outside. You can go a little bit faster, build up speed a little bit more on the outer track or the outer streets. There we go. Now let's see if I can build up some speed. There we go. I'm out of NOS. My nitro is at 0, so I don't have any more boosting power. You only get like 5 seconds or however many you designed for the car. I burned mine out already. Let's see if I can get up to 200 before I hit the end. Oh, but it's still pretty fast. 150. I messed up there. I hit all sidewalk. But that is city driving, burnout style. And we are going to cut right here, and we'll come back and we will have more of a closed circuit racetrack, and we'll see how we drive on a racetrack. So see you back next video.